On the second day of a test match in Jaipur, the crowd looked up from the cricket and saw something impossible. Walking into the VIP box, smiling, waving, was the military dictator of Pakistan. General Zia-ul-Haq had flown into India that week, uninvited for anything except, he said, the cricket. "Cricket for peace is my mission," he told the press, beaming. Here is what the tens of thousands in that stadium did not fully know. At that exact moment, 500 kilometers to the west, close to 1 million soldiers from both countries were dug in along the border, within firing range of each other. War plans were on desks, and one of the two smiling men in that VIP box had, by his own aide's account, just privately threatened the other with nuclear annihilation. This is the story of the most dangerous cricket match ever played, and the war it helped bury. The road to that stadium began a year earlier, with a single question. In 1986, during a routine military briefing, India's young Prime Minister, Rajiv Gandhi, asked his generals something no one had asked before. Has India ever actually tested its ability to mobilize for war? The answer was no, not once since independence. Sitting on that answer was the new army chief, General Krishnaswamy Sundarji. Brilliant, flamboyant, arrogant, a general who quoted military theory the way others quoted scripture, obsessed with dragging the Indian army into the age of mechanized warfare. Pakistan's generals considered him the most dangerous man in India, a commander from the 1971 generation that had cut their country in half, and who they feared dreamed of finishing the job. Rajiv gave the go-ahead. Test the machine. Sundarji didn't design a test. He designed a monster. They called it Operation Brasstacks. Somewhere near 500,000 troops, roughly half the Indian Army, 9 infantry divisions, 3 mechanized, 3 armored, an air assault division, with the Air Force and Navy folded in. It was bigger than anything NATO had ever staged. By most measures, the largest land exercise anywhere on Earth since the Second World War. Now look at where Sundarji put it. Not in central India, in the Rajasthan desert, within 100 miles of the border, pointed straight at Sindh, the province where a thrust could once again slice Pakistan in two. And one more detail, the one that should make your skin crawl. The exercise scenarios reportedly integrated tactical nuclear weapons into day-to-day maneuvers. India was rehearsing atomic war on Pakistan's doorstep as a drill. From Islamabad's window, none of this looked like an exercise. It looked like a countdown. And here is where the story turns dark. Because a serious school of scholars argues Brasstacks was never really a drill. At that moment, Pakistan was racing to finish its atomic bomb at a uranium enrichment plant called Kahuta. India knew the window to stop it was closing. A theory advanced by scholars like Feroz Khan, a former Pakistani brigadier, and Paul Kapoor, goes like this. Sundarji wanted to provoke Pakistan into a military response. Pakistan reacts. India gets its justification. And in the war that follows, Indian jets put Kahuta out of business forever. A preventive war disguised as a war game. Here's the detail that elevates it from strategy to scandal. By multiple accounts, Sundarji hid the exercise's true scale and deployments from his own prime minister. Accounts from the period also describe the army pressing the government more than once for permission to strike. An army chief, possibly steering 2 nations toward nuclear war, with the civilian government not fully in the picture. Whatever the truth, Pakistan behaved exactly as if the theory were real. Pakistan's own winter exercises ended, but its forces didn't go home. Instead, they drifted toward the Indian border. Armored reserves moved opposite Indian Punjab, the Navy put to sea in the Arabian Sea. Now the spiral fed itself. India saw Pakistani formations near Punjab, a state already burning with a separatist insurgency and Red invasion. Intelligence warned that Pakistan might back a cross-border strike timed to a militant gathering at the Golden Temple on Republic Day, January 26, where a declaration of an independent Khalistan was feared. This is how wars actually start, not with a decision, but with two countries misreading each other in the dark. Pakistan mobilized because India's exercise looked like an invasion. India counter-mobilized because Pakistan's mobilization looked like one. Each step was defensive. The sum was a doomsday machine. In Delhi, Rajiv Gandhi, by several accounts still not fully briefed on what his own army chief had built, suddenly found himself managing a crisis he hadn't ordered. In Washington, alarmed American diplomats began working the phones between the two capitals. By mid-January 1987, the two armies stood within firing range of each other along the border. Airfields at alert. Leave cancelled. One nervous corporal. One misread patrol. That's all it would have taken. And it was at precisely this moment that Pakistan decided to tell India a secret. On January 28, 1987, Indian journalist Kuldip Nayar was quietly taken to a residence in Pakistan, escorted by Mushahid Hussain, editor of a national daily. Waiting inside was the one man no Indian journalist was ever supposed to meet: Abdul Qadir Khan, the father of Pakistan's bomb. And Khan, in the middle of the crisis, said the unsayable out loud. Pakistan has enriched uranium. Pakistan has succeeded. The bomb exists. In his words, America knows it. What the CIA has been saying about our possessing the bomb is correct. This was not a slip. Analysts, including the man who arranged the meeting, read it as deliberate nuclear signaling, a message shoved through the media's letterbox because official channels were too slow. Attack us, and you are not invading a country. You are invading a nuclear power. The interview wouldn't be published until March, but the message reached Delhi long before the printing press did. And then Pakistan sent a second message. This one wore a uniform and carried a cricket ticket. India and Pakistan happened to be in the middle of a test series, the third match beginning in Jaipur on February 21st. Zia-ul-Haq invited himself. What could India do? Refuse a head of state coming to watch cricket? So the dictator landed in Delhi with the armies still at the border, and India's establishment gritted its teeth and welcomed him. Understand the genius of the move. A summit would have required agendas, concessions, weeks of diplomacy, and an admission that the two countries were in crisis. Cricket required none of it. Zia could fly in, deliver whatever he needed to deliver face to face, and fly home, all under the cover of a game. Deniable diplomacy, with a scoreboard. The match itself was almost comically ordinary. Sunil Gavaskar, playing his last test series, fell to the first ball. Rain ruined a day. It sputtered to a draw. Nobody remembers the cricket. They remember what happened around it, because at a private meeting during that visit, by the account of the Pakistani aide accompanying him, Zia leaned toward Rajiv Gandhi and said, in effect, "Mr. Rajiv, if you want to attack Pakistan, do it. But remember, the world will forget Halaku Khan and Shanjais Khan, and remember only Zia-ul-Haq and Rajiv Gandhi, because this will not be a conventional war. It will be a nuclear war." Then, the account says, Zia simply started smiling again and walked back out to the cameras as if discussing the weather. Threat delivered. Wicket intact. It worked. All of it. The interview, the whisper, the theater. Within days, negotiators were meeting. By early March, India and Pakistan agreed on a phased, sector-by-sector pullback. In Kashmir alone, some 150,000 troops stepped back from the line. The biggest war machine assembled in the subcontinent's history reversed gear, without a single shot fired between the two armies. There was one last twist. When Khan's interview finally hit newsstands in March, Zia was publicly furious. The general who had whispered the nuclear threat himself now scolded the scientist for saying it in print. Khan was eventually eased out of parts of the weapons program for his candor. The signal had served its purpose. The signaler was expendable. So who won Brasstacks? Not Sandaji. If the goal was to bait a war and kill Kahuta, it failed completely. Pakistan didn't take the bait. The window closed, and 11 years later, both countries detonated their bombs in the open desert. The scholar's verdict is brutal. The last realistic chance to stop Pakistan's bomb died in that desert exercise. Not the doves either, because Brasstacks taught both establishments a lesson they never unlearned. Nuclear weapons work. A whispered threat at a cricket match did what 500,000 soldiers could not. It froze a war in place. South Asia's era of nuclear blackmail began not with a mushroom cloud, but with a smile in a VIP box. And the playbook survived. Cricket diplomacy became South Asia's pressure release valve. A Pakistani prime minister at Mohali in 2011, General Musharraf in Delhi in 2005, whenever the two countries needed to talk without admitting they were talking. Since that week in 1987, India and Pakistan have fought crises, skirmishes, even a limited war on a glacier's edge, but never again have both armies stood fully mobilized, eye to eye, on the plains where wars are truly decided. The match was a draw. Maybe that was the point. Two men smiled for the cameras that day. Both were lying, and 1 billion people got to keep living because of it.